All right, go for it.
Has anyone done any shows recently? Or doing any coming up?
What's
Well, I called Mardi Gras, and we're the next painter in line. Marianne's the next one in line. They don't have anything opening, but she said to call back Monday to see if there's a slot open. If we don't get a slot, we just won't go.
When is
So
that? When is that show? Is that coming up?
it's going to be,
President's
well,
Day weekend?
yep,
Oh, so
President's Day
soon.
weekend. Yep.
Oh, that's very soon. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have a trunk show next month. That
Yeah.
matters. So
Where's that?
it's a networking group thing. You're
Mhm.
supposed to do a show and tell about your business, but you can do sales
Uh-huh.
too if you want.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So it's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I'm doing an open studio this weekend and I had sent out my email and I've already gotten messages back. My studio is open by appointment, but uh the customer said that she was so glad that I'm open because her sister was coming to town and she was thinking about making an appointment. So, I mean, it's a reminder for me anyway to just sometimes have these, even if it's slow and I go in with no expectations, but I'm available for people and they don't have to make an appointment. So, um,
Well, you can still do your work while you're waiting in between that way too.
right. And I kind of mentally, I don't exactly wait. But yeah, and sometimes friends stop by. So anyway, but it's always nice to get that kind of response.
Where are you located?
I'm in Santa Fe.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I have a showroom in my studio and I always think I should make well, when I was listening to the NAIA, Chris Dahlquist spoke a couple Tuesdays ago, and she was talking about income streams and all of that. It was about finance. And she was also talking about making things work for you. Like if you go to a show, what else can you do there or on the way? And my studio, I've always had a showroom in my studio, no matter where I've been. But um, I really I'm I'm home anyway, so I might as well be opened. And I don't, it's not even if just a couple of people come by, it's a nice way for them to come and shop and not have to make an appointment. And so, it's the idea that the studio, aside being a place that I work, it also works for me.
Well, are you on a place where you can get walked by?
Definitely
Sure.
not. No,
Oh,
not at
okay.
all. Yeah. But I do the local artist market is sort of my um street traffic, I guess you could say. Once that starts up, I mean, I see a ton of people there. So, aside from making sales, it's also a good place to collect names for my mailing list. And so that works well. But here it's definitely people make appointments. Or if I'm open, they drop in. But I that talk from Chris, and then there was a marketing one from what's her name? Starts with an M. They were both very good. And so even if I know the information, hearing information from someone else, it just it might trigger different options in your brain. And so, I found both of those talks very useful, uh, even with what I already know. And so I always like, listening to different people's perspectives on this business.
Remind you of what you know.
But also it might I don't know, sort of spring something that's dormant in your mind, and people just do things differently. So you might have that, why didn't I ever think of it that way type of situation.
Well, I listened to the same one, Allison. I was on that too. And when she was saying, like you were just saying, on the way to the show, is there something you could do? Or is there something else you could do while you're there? Never crossed my mind. My idea is you get in, you pack, you go to the show, you do the show, you come home and you start again for the next week. So I agree with you. That was a really good, good idea, good suggestion that I wouldn't have thought of on my own.
Well, I used to do when I was in California, um, I used to try to, because everything's so far, I would try to teach along the way, but
Hmm.
I'd be out of the studio for like 6 weeks. It's a long time. And so, I've always had that in my mind. Um, and so, and also like if you want to visit a gallery in the town that might be of interest or any of those things. But the anyway, yeah, it was really good information.
Hmm.
And then the marketing one, she talked about having your emails take actions. And so I know a lot of times I send out one email a month, but there's never an ask often. And so this time around, I sent out, I'm going to have to raise my gold prices. I haven't in a long time. I should have. And gold is just so much higher than the last time I bought it. So I basically put in pictures of 10 small pieces. I mean, small pictures of 10 pieces, saying, uh, basically saying if you want to buy it at these prices, you have until February 15th. Otherwise, the prices are going to go up. And I actually made a sale this morning. So that was
Good.
kind of cool too.
Congratulations. That's good.
Yeah. Thanks. And so, some people don't open their email until during the week or things like that.
Right.
But I don't ever want to sound pushy, but having some sort of ask, I think, is important because I mean, I've put out work when I teach, I'll put work out, and people will ask me if it's for sale. So obviously I didn't make it clear that it's for sale,
Mhm.
because again, I don't want to seem pushy, but these are just things that are reinforced by listening to those lectures.
Right. The answer is always no if you don't ask. So you have to ask for things. And I'm the same way. I don't want people to think that's all you want to do is ask, ask, ask. So I try not to do that very often myself. I had a question for you guys regarding applications. So just curious, I heard somebody, or I read somewhere, maybe online recently, somebody was putting in an application. They wanted, they were talking about their materials and technique. And, 200 characters is not a lot of area to write about technique in materials. But I was reading, I think it's the St. Louis Art Fair says, talk about not just your materials and your technique, but kind of what inspires you. So,
That's not, the definition is materials and techniques.
right.
If they ask
On
for a different statement, then that's where you would put that.
That's what I would have thought, but that's why I was a little hearing
Yeah,
somebody else say,
and not giving you any more characters, that's ridiculous.
oh,
Yeah,
most of them
so
are what,
so
200 characters? It's
Yeah, I
fine.
know.
some are 100, but like
Yeah,
Art in the Pearl, I think it's Art in the Pearl asks for a separate artist statement, but otherwise the directions say material and technique.
which is
So
what I did. So,
whoever said that, maybe they didn't read the application because you don't have room for it. And if people have no idea what they're looking at with your work, you need to have the material and technique.
yeah.
And but I find, certain shows will ask for a separate artist statement.
Well, okay. That just reinforces what I thought, and that's what I was looking for. So that's good. Thank you.
Hi, Karen.
Hey, nice to see you, Allison.
You too. We were just talking about, I don't know if you listened to any of the NAIA talks, but Chris Dahlquist did one. That one was more on finances and income streams, and then the woman last week, I have to look up her name, was marketing, and they were both really good and just kind of triggered maybe things I might have known or not, but just reinforced certain things too. So I've been enjoying those.
Good, good. I'm a little bit at a loss what to do about our social media posts.
Hmm.
What the future holds for us or how we need to take on something else. So just be curious what everybody's thinking. Social media has been um, something we've worked at for promoting our work. And it seems like a lot of people are leaving Instagram and Facebook. I just
Yeah.
wonder what everybody thought about it.
Well, I
They're
did join
going to
Blue
other
Sky.
Blue Sky. Yeah, I joined that and dropped Twitter.
I haven't figured out how to use it yet.
It's harder. It's like Twitter was when it first started,
Yeah,
if that helps any.
no.
Okay.
So is it like only X amount of characters that you can enter?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
But
yeah,
you can post articles, things like that too. But
yeah, you can write.
I'm still on Facebook and Instagram. Um, and I'll just see as we go along, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I understand the reason for making the change. It's just I've just figured out how to use Instagram, so
Yeah.
I
There's
can't.
another one sort of linked to uh Blue Sky that I don't remember what it's called, but it's sort of a Instagram type thing.
Well,
uh,
Katie, I appreciate the fact that you're keeping up with this. That says a lot.
the
Well,
um
not exactly, but because I
the
don't
person who
understand it in the first place.
the person who did the marketing talk for the NAIA, one of the things her whole goal with all social media and everything was really to get people onto her mailing list. She
Mhm.
said she didn't specifically make sales through Instagram or Facebook. She wants to use those vehicles to get people to sign up. And then she has certain things that she does, giveaways or whatever, to get people to sign up. And that's something I don't exercise at all. Like on my website, if you sign up, you'll get 10% off. And I think one person did that last year, but it's nothing I even promote. And I could promote it. I mean, I'm fine with the 10% off. I offer it, so I better be fine with it. And um, but I mean, social media certainly has um provided me with, people come to shows who maybe they're familiar with my work.
Yeah.
And then if I'm in their town and they see it, and I mean, it certainly has helped with a lot of things. I mean, I know more people and have reconnected with people and just, all of these and different groups on Facebook I find really useful too. So,
Mhm.
um, uh, I find out about things. Like I don't know if a show is canceled um or just all the little details of um how a show might be, for example, or um what are comfortable shoes or what kind of fan is good for your tent.
Right, right. Or like I heard from Barry, you're in Florida, right? Barry, are you listening?
I'm not talking today.
Okay.
I am in
All right.
Florida. I am in
Oh, you
Florida.
are?
Okay, that's it.
And one of your posts was that it was cold and you were expecting it to be warmer.
It's 87 right now.
Oh, wow.
And you call that cold?
It
No,
No,
was
52,
cold.
doing some half-ass show.
Oh, okay.
It was cold there because hell froze. Oops, no, I didn't say anything.
I heard that. Allison, it was
Yeah, you wrote that. I had to think about it for a minute.
Allison, it was Marjolaine Vanderhart.
Yes, thank you so much, Marjolaine Vanderhart. She was very good,
Yeah.
and very practical information too. But I found it interesting because I do know people who do sell directly through Instagram. Um, I haven't. In fact, the only time people have asked me about something, it's a scam, and they try to force me to use PayPal, which I don't even have. So, but yes, I mean, I met somebody. I mean, even locally, like, people might find me through that, or and then come to the artist market that I do, or whatever the case may be. So I mean, I think it's useful. I don't sell directly, but I was glad to hear how she uses Instagram, really just to build her mailing list.
Mhm. Well, I want to congratulate you, Allison, for your perseverance in doing your Santa Fe market, because you
Oh,
are experiencing all weather conditions, and I'm sure it's been. I mean, it's great to have a reliable marketplace. I think
mhm.
Is
that's
that
great.
Yeah.
all on the same day?
Yeah. And so here's the thing. The people who run it are also artists who do it, and they really don't want to cancel, but they're also very practical. If it's 20 degrees out,
Yeah.
or if it's snowing, if the winds are 25 miles an hour, they'll cancel. One time they had canceled in the morning of, um, and usually they cancel the Friday night before by 5 o'clock. They'll cancel,
Mhm.
but sometimes with the weather you can't tell.
Right.
And then there are times where we have to close early because winds are going to kick up. But honestly, mostly it's been fine. We were really lucky in December. It got up to 50 degrees each day, and um, not as long as there's no wind and the sun is out, it's usually pretty good. But they also last year they went around and weighed everyone's weights to reinforce that you have to weigh down your tent. So they're
Wow.
really diligent with all of that. Yeah. Well, because we can all be affected, and we also, we're on this piece of city land, and we want to be good stewards of that. And so we have to be good citizens, and also you know, be good neighbors to each other. So, in fact, somebody just sent me, she got rid of her tent. It's an old pop-up, and I think it's steel. I haven't opened it yet, but I've been using my light dome, but a pop-up will be easier because it's only 5 hours.
Allison, if it's
Hmm.
steel, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a KD canopy.
If it's a KD steel, those I think those sold for $500 a long time ago.
It was I think it was 90 pounds to ship.
I know people that have had them and forever, and they're really good.
Well, the
Oh, good.
majestic.
Pardon? Yeah, later
I
in the
think I,
week I'm
s-
gonna open it up. And there's a new top on, and
I
um
think I said that last week too.
but yeah, good. Well, it arrived yesterday, and so I will definitely test it
The
out
problem
here in
is
the
it
park.
weighs 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's
But
a wow.
yeah.
It's going to be hard to set up.
I'm
Why?
thinking, how heavy is the top to push up to pop it up? My goodness.
Well, wouldn't
Why is it going to be hard to set it?
Well, it weighs so much.
But so what? We drive right up to our spot.
Okay.
Hmm.
As long as you have somebody helping you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, no, so Eric was setting up the light dome, and it's a lot of stretching for him.
Right.
So then, his neck hurts, and this will be easier because in the middle, you just kind of push it up.
And the corners.
Yeah.
I
So,
have something to say.
What's that, Barry?
It's like, okay, the world stops. Um, okay, so let's say you're at a show and the credit card thing isn't working, which
all
is
right.
from what I've heard from people in Florida. Well, it happened to me. Uh,
I read that.
it's a Florida thing, I guess. They're
Oh.
still 1980s technology for networks. So okay, so the absolute best thing to have is Zelle. Do you know what Zelle is?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Every bank has it, and you register it within the app, within your bank app, and make sure that the phone is your primary way of uh, transferring. And all they have to do is type in their phone number and send it to yours and your phone number, and you get it within 2 seconds. It's the most
Okay.
secure because it's bank to bank.
That's
Are
good
you,
to
can
know.
you
Thanks.
can you use it though for business, or is it
Of
really meant
course,
for personal? Well, no. I mean,
It's
are there any
it goes
protections?
into the account.
you
Right,
can
I
set
understand.
whatever bank has protections. That's what you get. That's what you
Hmm.
have. It's bank to bank.
Right, but so how is it different than Venmo?
Venmo's insecure. It's owned by PayPal, and I wouldn't use it if they gave you money. How's that? I know
Okay,
people that have
but
been hacked with it. You can't get
okay,
hacked with Zelle unless they
okay,
hack your bank and your bank account.
right. Which can now that can happen. But
You know,
that's
that it's
interesting.
difficult.
Hmm.
You
Well,
know,
no, not when somebody has your social security number and all that information. But in any case, that's good to know.
yeah. Because I had that.
I would
I had that happen the other day.
I read
And
that.
well,
I
did you
read
read
that
that? Yeah,
that you had that situation. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, the last time
I,
that happened to me, I was lucky that the guy in the booth next to me was on AT&T because it was everybody in the area on Verizon, which was almost everybody, and
Oh,
nobody could they had to do everything offline, and that's always nerve-wracking because you're not sure that it's
right.
going to go through. And he
Yeah.
finally said, "Hey, when you gotta put something through, just use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot and just do
wait
it
a minute.
that way." So
Can
that was
could you
helpful.
make a phone call?
No, I just used I just did
No,
a
no, no.
hotspot.
What I'm asking you is if you had your phone there and you could make a phone call,
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying, Barry, for sure. I
then you
probably
have a network. You have a
right.
network.
Yeah. And I didn't know that Zelle did that, so that's great to know.
Well, it's a network. It's like the internet's a network.
Hmm.
Your phone is a network. Your phone company is a network. It's just a different network. So, like if you got a credit card machine, they make you buy a network to transfer, and you go, okay, you pay for it, but you don't need it because now you have two. You only need one, and if you can make a phone call, it means your network is working, and that's all you need. So
But that's not
don't
for
pay extra money.
that's not good for data though. That's just for that's
Data,
cell
yes,
service.
it is. It's
Yeah.
for everything.
I don't think so. That's not
Okay, I know
Wi-Fi. I
so.
mean,
So you can think what you want.
there's cell service and then there's data.
Uh,
And
Two
I
different
don't
things.
know, excuse me, I don't know as far as credit cards which that is used on.
You're not getting it, but that's okay. I don't want to explain it.
What is the advantage of it over using something like Square?
You probably have more security with Square, is my guess, because I don't know if Zelle's for business personally, and that's where I would want to investigate.
And for me, Square was what I couldn't get on because there was no Wi-Fi. And that's
Yeah,
Right.
I could
you
only
don't
do
need
it.
Wi-Fi. You just need your phone network.
I hear you,
So,
Barry, but what I'm saying is at that show, all I
Yeah.
knew was nobody could get on the 200, people that were there, 99% of them couldn't get on Wi-Fi, so that we were all having trouble.
Were you
And
in?
I was lucky that somebody was kind enough to just say, "Hey, use my hotspot." And then at least I could go through Square where a lot of other people couldn't. So,
mhm. So it's
Usually,
interesting. There are people
AT&T
who
is the one that doesn't work.
there are people who want to use Venmo, and I tell them I have Apple Pay, and Apple Pay is really just using a credit card. I mean, through your phone or whatever. And
Yeah.
that seems to be enough to suffice. Um,
Well, your credit card is on your phone, on your Apple
right.
phone. So
But
it's already on there. So that's what
my
you're
point
using.
is that people somehow think Apple Pay is different than using a credit card. And it's actually probably more secure because you're using a third uh device and you're not taking your card out, so you're never swiping your card. But in any case, um, I had that the other day because I send Square invoices for custom orders, things like that. And she wanted to use Venmo, and I said you can use Apple Pay. So that was just fine. I want whatever works for the customer. But I don't do Venmo and I don't feel comfortable with it. And
Yeah.
in any case, I think that technology is so not linear that it's hard for some people to understand and it can be
Apparently.
confusing. So um well, Wi-Fi is different than cell service. But in any case,
Yes, you're right.
um it that that was enough to have her make this. I mean, when you buy things online through stores, it's the same. It's not that dissimilar than a Square invoice. It's, just this online way of paying. But
The
not
same
everyone's
thing.
wrapped, right, not everyone's wrapped their head around it, and so sometimes wording things in different ways helps.
So
Um,
my
it,
so
wait a
my
minute. Interesting. Let me make one point first. Interestingly, when I took Apple Pay, it registered on Square.
Hmm.
I checked to see if I got the amount, and where did I look? I looked in the transactions in Square.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
the reason why Square is good is because you get all that data and you can do all that research or all those reports. There's a lot of things
Hmm.
you could do with it because it's software friendly.
Accept, collect customer's email address.
Does anybody still take checks?
I
I
do.
I
Not unless
I'll
I
will
take
know
anything.
personally.
I will if it's like if it's a custom order or someone's paying something off and they want to pay by check. At shows with strangers, I tell them no, but anyway, occasionally I will, but generally no.
However, you can deposit the check right while they're standing there into your account
That's
with your
what
That
we
is
do.
phone.
true.
That's true.
That's
So
exactly what we
it's
do.
the same thing.
But yeah,
I
I
had a
like
problem.
seeing I like seeing the transactions, Barry, you were mentioning you could look at your transaction.
I
I like
always do.
seeing that on Square because sometimes like
Me too.
there have been glitches with Square
Yes.
upon occasion and sometimes transactions you can't see.
I've
And then
never
then
had
that's
one. I've never had a one, but I always check to see if it went in because you
yeah,
don't want to look an hour later and they're gone and you don't have your
right.
money. So I always look while they're in sight,
Hmm.
and you know, I actually had. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually had a problem with Zelle
Uh-huh.
because there's two ways you can use it: email and phone number, phone to phone. If you have when you type in your info into the Zelle part of the your bank account, it has lines for both, but you have to make sure that the phone is your primary because if it isn't and it's phone to phone, it won't take your money. It won't see it. So you have to make sure that it's actually there and
Uh-huh.
visible. Yeah. And it says primary. It's in black. There's a line underneath. Because I tried to I tried to take it and nothing. There was nothing. And I didn't know what was wrong, but eventually I started looking at everything, and they were really nice because they were going to go get cash. I didn't. I was pretty secure with the people. I didn't worry about it. So it was the next day in the morning. I'm in the coffee shop, and I called
Hmm.
my bank, and there was a hold on it. Well, the hold on it was not from my bank, was from his bank.
Hmm.
So I called him up. He checked it out and said, "Yeah, you don't exist." He told me I don't exist. Well, wait a minute, because I've never taken anything till now, but I pay I pay people with Zelle, and so my phone number has to be in the thing. So finally. We kind of looked, and that was the glitch. It was so all I had to do was transfer the primary, which took a nanosecond. So make sure that if you're going to use it, it's phone to phone.
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah,
It's hard to be agile when you're in the middle of a sale and you have to solve a problem like that.
That is true. Very
Yeah.
true.
I was mostly embarrassed.
Um, Hi, can I ask a question? Can you guys
Mhm.
hear me? Hi.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know everyone. I don't know Allison, um, or Carol. I'm Janine. I do photography. I'm relatively new to this forum that Larry invited me to, so it's been very helpful. And Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question. I got invited to, I'm asking a question because I don't know 3 shows that I applied to, and you guys probably do. Larry gave me some tips to apply to,
Go
and
to the
they're
Paragon
this,
website and go to the contact page.
sorry, so they're the same weekend,
All right, no problem.
and I got into the Rose Squared show in May in Philadelphia, and I was waitlisted to the Laumeier show in St. Louis. And then there's 12 days left to go to hear from the jury from Art Birmingham in Michigan. And I just didn't know if you could give me any advice, suggestions.
Are they all the same weekend, you're saying?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Where do
well,
9th through 11th.
here, Janine, it helps to make a travel plan. So if you're going to go to St. Louis, are you going for just the one show or for other shows that follow?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in Cleveland, and so I think there might be one other show, shoot, that I applied to the following weekend, but it would really be a case of me going back and forth to Cleveland, just going for that one show. But
How far a drive is that for you?
I think it's like 6 or 7 hours, I think.
Oh, not bad.
So it's
Cleveland's
okay.
3 hours.
So do they all
I'm
require
sorry. Birmingham's
what?
3 hours.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about St. Louis. I
Okay,
have,
so all 3 shows you're gonna have to stay in a hotel, correct?
yeah,
Are they all just a day's drive?
yeah.
Okay.
So I just found out today from the Philadelphia one, and they have a deal on a hotel that they're reserving for $179 a night, which is pretty good, I think. And
Sounds expensive to me.
well, it's hard to find a hotel for less than that. It's really hard on the road. I found hard to do that, but maybe not.
I found just the opposite on this trip.
Yeah.
I
Hotel rooms have gone down.
Oh,
I
really?
often I often stay in Airbnbs, but even in Chicago, I found an Airbnb for 154 a night.
Oh, wow.
Um, so
Oh, I should look more into that. Yeah, usually I just
so
get a hotel.
Yeah, but you're
and does the
talking
show
about,
have, did you say the show has a rate or they don't?
No, they did. They put that on the
Oh,
Zap.
but that's
Or
Rittenhouse Square, right?
yeah.
And so that would be Center City,
right.
Yeah.
and that would be expensive. Where's the hotel
Yeah.
located?
Okay, let me look. Hold on. Hold on. I like had to jump out of here, but hold on. Uh, 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 let's see.
Not muted.
Um, okay. And by the way, they say this, which is strange to me. I've never had this be said to me. Okay, you've been accepted. As this is the second round of jurying for the show, there are less spaces, should be fewer spaces, available than artists invited. We can hear
What?
we can hear the at sign, hashtag, 2 exclamation points. We can hear that and understand. This is all in yellow highlighting, all in yellow, this sentence. And understand, but we cannot predict who will accept the show and who has other offers they are considering. Once the show is full and you have not paid your booth fee, you will be moved to the waitlist category. So they're saying you have to do this right now, even though you've been accepted to get into the show.
Well,
Anyway,
That's insane. That is
no,
Yeah,
insane.
it's
yeah,
not.
that's what I.
That makes sense. All the shows have a date
No.
that your booth has to be paid
Oh,
by.
it
Yeah, but
makes
that's
sense.
different. Hold
Oh,
on. From what I heard that there's not enough spaces for all the artists we accepted. Did you not
Yes,
just say that?
that is
Right. Yes.
absolutely true. There
So
are
that's
fewer spaces than we invited.
Never heard of
that's
that.
ridiculous.
I know,
That is
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
I
ridiculous.
know, I know.
Which show was that again?
This is Rittenhouse Square. Hold on. Rose
Right.
Squared Spring
Yeah,
Rittenhouse
it's
Square.
what's her name that took over the Pennsylvania Guild shows and the Rose Squared shows.
Robin Markowitz
Right, Robin Markowitz.
and
So they
Carol
have,
Heisler Lawson.
so they don't have enough spaces for the artists they accepted. So they turn it into this competitive game.
So they're putting
So
the gun to your head to go
Well,
into Zap right now and pay for your booth.
they're
Right.
getting their booth fees
Hold
right.
on. Can I say something that's related but not related?
Of course, Barry.
Okay. Here's why I don't look at the Fall Rittenhouse Square show is good. It's
No,
by
wait. It's different
Just-
shows.
will you relax? Just let me talk, okay? It's a different. I'm getting to that, Larry.
yeah, but you said you're a photographer, right?
Right.
Please
Right. So that's
let me.
Barry.
They
But Barry,
don't
they
allow
have a
photography in the fine arts.
I'm really glad that you guys
Oh,
know
okay.
what I'm going to say.
that answers my question. Go ahead.
I'm talking about what it costs and the conditions outside of the show itself, which would be something you would want to know to determine. First of
Okay.
all, you're going to pay for parking at a parking lot, which is between $30 and $40 a night. So add that into it. I don't think doing Center City because it's old, so the streets are narrow, and I didn't like the vibe. And plus, Philadelphians are crazy. There's the traffic light, and there's a line of cars, and you're at a red, and they're all beeping their horns for the guy in front, the person in front, to
All right,
go.
but that has nothing to do about the show. That has nothing to do with the
Well,
show,
yes,
though.
it does. It has to do with the conditions. With all shows equal, it has to do with the
Okay.
conditions that you're
Right,
putting yourself into. This is what I think about.
So there's 3 shows on the same weekend, and
Right.
you need to determine which to do. And so,
Well, I haven't heard from one. They had the deadline is in 12 days. The deadline,
okay.
then they'd have to jury. And I emailed the woman from the Laumeier show, and she said,
Lohmeyer?
what is it? Laumeier?
Lohmeyer.
Lohmeyer. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Uh-huh.
basically saying, yeah, you'll probably get on, from the wait list. But I mean, she sounded happy that she wanted to know if you were still interested on being on the wait list. And I said, yes, I'm still interested on being on the wait list. And she was very encouraging. And so I guess, I mean, if all things, forget about parking, forget about hotels, forget about costs, forget about all that crap.
Yeah.
All I want to know is quality of the show. How good is the show?
Has anybody
I
else
would
on
say
Lomar?
Rittenhouse would be number 3
Okay.
because that's the Pennsylvania Guild and it's arts and crafts.
Well, I thought the painting and the photography were two different shows.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but
are. Yeah.
On 2 different dates in 2 different months.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
but,
I had
but
to
the,
apply
the
to the
show
craft
you were
one.
talking about, run by Robin, is the former Pennsylvania Guild show. And it was always art and craft.
So there's jewelers there and ceramic artists and
Well,
that kind of thing.
and maybe lower end stuff too.
Well, is that true or not, though? I mean,
Well, I'd have to go back. They listed the media for each show. They listed them. I can't remember them all, but for the craft show and for the art show, they listed the different media.
and look at last year's participants and see, in your medium and just in general to get a feel. So, of these 3 shows, you're accepted into one currently. Is that correct?
Yeah, and waitlisted
So,
another.
right. So, because you're accepted into one, it seems that and given the situation that they accepted more artists than they have booths, you're going to have to make a decision if you're going to do that show, give up the
Okay.
other 2.
Well, the other question
or
is,
hang on.
Janine, what is their refund policy if you decide to secure a spot in one show and pay today, and then you decide to change your mind? What is their refund policy, and is there a deadline for that? Will you get it all back or only some of it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, that gives
Okay.
you some time to get an acceptance from the third show.
Right.
What I would
And
do if it
they
was
would
me,
have
is
They would
I
have the
would go with
refund policy written.
Birmingham and then make a
It's May.
decision
It's
if you get
May.
into Loudmere.
Hold
Wait a
on.
minute. Larry, what's your choice again?
Birmingham and then go with Loudmere if you get in off the wait list.
So you would put the Philadelphia one third.
Now, yeah,
Why?
it's a hassle.
Oh,
Can I
forget
give?
that.
Yeah,
Forget
thank
that. I
you.
just want to, okay, it's a hassle. I understand downtown areas. I live in downtown Cleveland. I can deal with traffic, okay?
No, it's not
No,
like downtown Cleveland. I've spent a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time there. I'm telling you, it's not
Okay,
the
well,
same.
I lived in New York City, okay? I can put up with the traffic. I can put up with a lot. I lived in
I
Manhattan.
wouldn't do shows in New York except
Go
for
for it
Grayson
then.
Square.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I really want to ask you, veterans, knowledgeable people, about the quality of the shows themselves. Forget about hotels and everything else. I'll
Mhm.
factor that in.
Okay.
I've done the Lomar show in years past. I was thrilled the first time I did it. I made a plan since I have to drive 2,000 miles to get to the Midwest. I always make a plan of 3 or more shows. So my equation is if I'm traveling that distance, I have to stay, and one show covers expenses going out, one show covers expenses going home. Hopefully, the third show is profit. So I have to have that in my head. I'm fortunate that I have family in Missouri, so I have a place to stay in between. So that works for me. I've done the Lomar show, and the first year, I made a very good friend with the artist next to me. I was helping her with her first time putting up her booth, and she dropped it on my head, and we've been friends ever since.
Oh,
Golly.
It wasn't a big deal. We got through it.
Can I-
And I received a cash award from Lomar that just like, wow, this is great. But all the years after that, I have seen changes that I'm not happy with. They had the buy sale vendors in the show, sometimes receiving an award, and that really upsets me. So it's the wood guys that do the laminated wood mirrors and stuff, or
or
it was
Hudson Valley Inlay.
or it
Oh,
was the basket
Jeff
people.
Nelson.
And
Well,
it's going to happen to the best shows, but this is a community run show. Therefore, their jurors are not as well educated about who's buy sell and who's not. If the presentation and the jury is very good, they have a high, likelihood that they could be accepted. I've also been there during the years when they had the option of being under the big commercial tent. It was cost a little bit more, but you were protected from the unpredictable spring weather. And I used to do that one. Then I was there the year that they didn't put the right straps on that tent, and the city made them take it all down. And so it was just, um, yeah, that just held up everything. So that didn't go very smoothly. But I'd have to say for my price points are high, not low. Yeah, I do wearable art. And sometimes the spring weather, it's hot and humid. So people really don't want to look at what I have. I get all that.
I know what I would
And
do.
and the thing I have learned about the St. Louis area, because there are several community area shows in St. Louis, and I've done many of them, but there's really only one that I set my sights on
Yes,
that's
St.
worth it
Louis,
for the trip.
Clayton. Oh,
I've done St. Charles, I've done Prairie Village, that's Kansas City, but I've done several of the spring shows. But for what I do, again, wearable art, the fall show is really the best. It's the one that's worth it to go. The customers are there because they want to buy the best. Okay, well, the Lomar show is a community show, community volunteers. They're raising money for their park. I don't always feel like it's the best choice.
I know what I would do.
What?
Birmingham.
Well, I haven't gotten accepted. They haven't even closed the application. Right.
Yeah, it's in a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So which show is asking you to pay first?
The Philadelphia one with the Rittenhouse. Yeah.
But can I say, you mentioned the St. Louis show. Can I also ask something about that? So I did the mock jury with them. I sent in 2 applications. I was in Antarctica when this happened with the Zoom call. So I was like limited internet connection. I was Starlink and everything, but I heard my first application be juried, and I was shocked. I was shocked, 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 shocked. I couldn't believe it. I think my mouth was hanging open for a long time. And my fellow passengers on this little ship that I was on, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, they weren't there when I was on the Zoom call, but I came back out of my cabin and I said, there are a lot of stupid things in the world. There are a lot of really, really stupid things, and this is one of
Wow. Are you able to give us an example or an
Yes.
analogy or
No,
something? Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, Larry helped me, and Bonnie helped me pick, and Barry, I think you did too. I think you put your 2 cents, because I had done Larry's mock jury, um, whenever that last mock jury, but I had missed I got the time wrong, so I had missed the jurors' comments, whatever. So I got it later, but uh, I didn't know which images. I was doing it because I didn't know which images to submit, and I have new work and stuff. So you guys gave me feedback on which ones I should submit. And like I said, I haven't seen the second application be juried yet. I asked for the Zoom recording, but for the first one, 4 images, and the the second one was a reflection in a lake of fall color. Okay, so it's water and there's movement in water. Okay, so it's an abstract image, many colors, multiple colors, and there are kind of long lines. But there's movement. Okay, and
Hmm.
and then the second, I have to think of which one. The thing that, oh, okay, the first one was a dune from Death Valley. Okay, a close up of a dune from Death Valley in a sandstorm.
Hmm.
So there, because what Larry said is these images that you have here deal with movement, and that's kind of cool.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
second one was the reflection. The third one, oh, God, I have to look at it again. I can't remember. Oh yeah, oh no, no. Anyway, the fourth, uh,
So they
uh,
all had to
but
do with they all had to do with
they all have
movement.
to do with movement, and
Right.
they could accept the first and the third. I forget what the third one was, but the second one of the reflection in the water with the movement, and the fourth one was ICM. In photography, it's called intentional camera movement. So you are intentionally
Oh,
moving the
are you
camera.
gonna are you going to say they thought it was blurry but not on
Yes.
purpose?
Oh my God. And they're like, oh, it makes me dizzy. I can't look at this. And then like one of the woman judges is just like, I went into a gallery and saw this, and I almost fell over. I'm like, you are an idiot, okay? You don't know anything about art. I mean, what do you look at the whole movement of abstract
Can I,
expressionism and say, I will fall over if I look at a Jackson Pollock or something? I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. It is a whole technique in photography to do intentional camera movement. And it
So
wasn't chaos. It was very controlled blur, hugely controlled, deliberate blur. And
so
it was
here's the thing with the
laughable.
jury process. Um, the jury process, we cannot count on the expertise of the jurors. Like, for example, as a jeweler, um, a lot of times jewelry is not seen as art. So you could look at a painting, say, and get some sort of um, vision of what it might be, but often people don't look at jewelry like that. And there is a thing called art jewelry or studio jewelry. And so this is I'm sure it's a problem for every single medium. I
It, you
mean,
know,
like,
play is the worst.
Well, and abstract is the worst also because a lot of folks don't
Well,
understand
no,
abstract.
jewelry has to be the worst because I'll tell you,
Nope.
there are top tier.
No,
There, no, there.
photography is
Great.
the worst.
Clay's
Well,
the
maybe,
worst.
maybe. But however, in
Abstract
top
painting.
tier,
No.
excuse me, can I have the floor
No,
for a
we're
second?
more, right?
Allison has the floor for a second.
Go ahead.
So I have seen in top tier shows, they allow people in who they're either make their work from parts. I could look up in a catalog the exact parts, or they have like a whole slew of employees, which violates some prospectuses from shows. And forget about derivative work. That just, that's even like the least of the problems. But so it probably happens in every single medium. And I'm sure in textiles, jurors might not be able to tell the difference between um, hand weaving and something like fabric that's bought in some other place and not made by the artist, and so anyway, that's disappointing to hear.
Let me know when you want to know about Birmingham.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, Jenny, the other thing I'd like to hear though is
Yes, you don't want to know.
How you wrote your artist statement and did it reflect your intention with the photography?
Yes, actually, again, Larry helped me with that. I paid Larry to help me. So I wrote, it was, with the 100 character statement, it's a very short, and my photography is abstract. Okay, it's abstract photography, but it, takes different forms. It's not all intentional camera movement by any means, but I have some of it, but it's all abstract. Okay, all of it. Well, all that I'm exhibiting for this purpose. And so my statement said, focus on structure, colon. You guys judge this too. I didn't put commas in between my words and everybody freaked out about that. But
I never put commas because you
Blame
have
my
enough room.
parents.
yeah, I know. I taught for 21 years. I have a PhD. I know how to use in the English language, but I just put them in there because I was trying to get 100 characters. And so
Mhm.
I said, look at hue, look at rhythm, look at texture, look at color. So I had all these words that are clearly traditional artistic principles that I am unearthing in my work because I'm focusing on the structure of the composition and the image. So that's my artist statement, is to say I'm basically giving you an image that is revealing to you the structure of it, okay, in terms of these classic artistic principles. And I was kind of working my way towards it anyway, but when I got it down with Larry's help to make it condensed and concise, I think that was good. And so the St. Louis people were like, oh, okay, that's clear. And somebody said, that works for the first and third images, but not for the second and the fourth. And the first and the third, I looked it up again. The third is a close, tight shot of a rail frog. Okay, it's a close, tight shot. It's a vertical. It's iron, oxidized iron, rust, but it's what a train has to pass through to change tracks. Okay, so it's very, in your face, but it's not moving. Okay, but it implies movement because it's a train changing tracks, right? So theoretically. So he said this artist statement applies to the first and the third image, but not to the second and the fourth because it's blurry.
So in my opinion, the artist statement is applying to the overall work, not just the images presented.
Correct.
I mean, so it's not that literal.
What do you mean?
Like in other words, it's not per image. It's just your whole gestalt.
Yeah, but I mean, exactly. Why, but it goes for all of them. You can like apply that
Right.
description to all of them. But this
So,
this judge said, well, that works for two of them that, I can clearly see, static lines or something. But when it looks quote unquote blurry to me, then this description of your purpose does not apply, which is just a joke. I mean, it's just ignorance, nothing but. So, I mean,
but this is the
Well, but
problem with the whole system, though. I mean,
yeah, but
so
but
And
let me
it's
get more specific, Allison, is that they're looking for 4 images that really hang together. And
right.
apparently 2 of them had the same theme, but they didn't hang together as well as the first 2
Or the
that we were
jurors
talking
really
about.
didn't know what they were looking at. That
Because
can
they
be the
didn't
case
take
as
long
well.
enough to figure it out
Well,
about the
Well,
movement of the
okay.
they
train
didn't know.
track.
I guarantee you they didn't know what they were looking at when they were looking at the rail frog. I
Yeah,
guarantee you they had no
yeah.
idea what they were
And
looking
so
at.
Okay,
to them,
here's the other thing about mock juries. The jurors have more time to look at your images than they do at a real jury.
mhm.
So there's a lot more things that might get picked on that wouldn't get picked on when you actually
But
submit
Larry, but
your.
the problem we're talking about is the lack of knowledge on the juror
Well,
regarding the
but you
specific
have to
medium.
assume that jurors are dumb.
Well,
All
and
right.
also
Well,
about
Janine,
if they were to give me time, I mean, they did my review in a nanosecond. I mean, it was a matter of seconds.
well,
Get
that's
used to
really how
that.
long the jury happens. That's
They
really
have
true.
5 to 10
But
seconds.
That's
Janine,
ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
it's the
It's
way it
Really?
is when you've
How
got
it works.
12,000
Wow, I remember saying that 30 years ago.
1,200
It
applications.
hasn't improved.
Well, I
Janine, it
mean,
It's
takes,
it's
only
not
gotten
like,
worse.
I mean, don't do your jury in one day, then do it over the course of a week and do a good
well,
job, you
they
know?
take more than one day. Janine,
Cherry
I've got
Creek
to
does
interrupt.
do it over the
I've,
course of like
we,
5 days.
this
So the jurors
rejection,
are supposed to get
just a minute,
paid
Barry.
Wait,
for the
Karen,
week.
I want to hear what Karen's saying.
This rejection process is what fuels us to do it again and better. And in my
But
years of
Karen,
doing this,
sorry.
but in my
Yeah.
years of experience, I was frustrated applying with other very good wearable artists saying, why am I not getting in? And out of my frustration, I submitted images that were all in red garments. Whatever I did, it was all red. And I got in. And I was just that frustrated that jurors didn't see the detail that goes into work that I do. But it taught me a lesson that it's really about that visual impact in a short amount of time for those jurors. But you need to
Except
have a
when they pick,
collection. You need to have a
ex
collection that is strong and hangs together. And over as you get more of these rejections, be proud that you get them because it makes you it strengthens your resolve to get your message across.
Okay, but it's really weird because they're saying to you at one and the same time, we
Mhm.
want good art. We want
Yeah.
high art. We want
No, they don't.
that's what they say. We want Soho art. And talk about looking at the booth image. My God. Okay, so we want you to fake it for us. We want you to fake it and set it up and have this booth shot that is absolutely not what you're going to look like in the field. You're going to make it look like a gallery. And
No,
no, seriously.
most show promoters want a real booth.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what they said.
It's all different.
It is different. I mean, real booth, and we don't want to see grass. We don't want to see pavement. You know, I just think that that's crazy that they will judge you more on the look of your booth shot than on your art. And they
But
may
it's not
say,
true. It's not true though. I mean, the thing is, they might say it in the mock jury, but I know the director of that show wants a real booth.
well, okay, but they spent more than the 1 second that they spent on each image of my art. They spent
Hmm.
way more on the booth, just criticize, just hating on it. And I'm like, okay, so it's not, you don't like it, it's not good, whatever, okay, fine, but you shouldn't spend an inordinate
Wait a
amount
minute.
of time.
You know what that means? You know what that means? Don't do that show. That's a red flag. I look for
It was
red
a
flags,
it was a mock jury, Larry. I mean,
Barry.
Barry, Larry.
Okay, but that's reflective of what it's going to be like when they actually have a real jury.
Yeah,
Now
but the
it's
thing
the
is, I've done
same
that.
people.
I've done that
It,
show, and I have grass in my booth, and my booth is very simple. I mean, and I know the director says I think she was on that NAI forum with directors, and I've heard from many directors here also that say they just want a real booth, not bullshit
I
booth.
also think the booth is an opportunity to show the range of work that you're having in your booth. So I have different price points, very small to very large, but I don't jury in with the small pieces unless it's just a accent to a garment that it's that's being shown. But in the booth, you can see smaller price points, medium price points, and the big pieces.
Not if you're a jeweler. You can only see the banners in the background mostly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with you.
Well,
But
I definitely had too much work hanging. That was an accurate criticism of my
okay.
booth. Absolutely. And going forward, I'm going to have less work hanging, even in the field when I'm normally doing a show, regardless of the booth shot for applying to, juries. So that was an accurate criticism. And I also got it from Larry's mock jury, and I took it to heart. And I am going forward. I have a show this Saturday, so it's going to be very different for me. That's great. I needed that advice.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I've got every inch of my booth space filled, and that's
Jan-
not good.
yeah, Janine, I just want you to know, like I've asked shows in the past why I didn't get in, or people I know who juried have given me some information, and I have too many images hanging in my booth, banners. I'm a jeweler. I have too few. My booth is too minimal. I have too much color in my jewelry. I have not enough color. So, and to me, those things are kind of ambiguous, and it's the work is the work. I mean, let's just say my style was monochrome, which it's not. If that's monochrome and somebody wants color, well, that's not my work, right? I mean, the same goes for like black and white photography. Well, we wish there was more color in it. I mean, but yes, it sounds like you got something you can extrapolate from that. But the thing is, I mean, what we're talking about here is the nature of the beast that we have to count on jurors to have the knowledge to appreciate our work, and otherwise,
Okay.
I'm telling
Okay.
you, I
The
have
other
I
Okay,
have seen.
here's a perfect
Well,
example of, oh,
excuse me. Let me
sorry.
just finish.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I see manufactured jewelry in a show, and I could point out in the catalog where you can buy all those parts and things. And it just happens all the time because unless there's a juror who is a jeweler or has knowledge of jewelry, unfortunately, I'm sure it happens with every medium. There's always commercial work at shows, whether it's you know made in some other country or made by a factory here in the US. A lot of the shows I know that I apply to don't want that. They want the artist made work, but they're counting on jurors who may or may not um, have that breadth of knowledge. And unfortunately, we lose just by this randomness, and sometimes we win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just talking about the booth shot. So I got rejected from Brookside Art Annual.
Mhm.
Donna Potts. Okay, so she says, I want to thank you for applying this year to the Brookside Art. I regret that you were not juried into the show. It was extremely competitive. We received over 850 applications for 160 spots. We change jurors each year, which changes the mix of artists. I know some of you will want feedback, which I'm happy to try and give you. Please contact me in a few
Nice.
days, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I wrote her, said,
Yeah,
thank
it's blah, 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 blah. We
all right,
want your
can
money
I
next year
finish?
so we can
Barry,
reject
can
you
I
again.
finish? Can I finish?
Listen, let me tell you something.
Please let
Barry,
me
wait,
I
Barry,
tried for an
finish.
hour. Listen, I wasn't in a good
Janine
mood
has
when
the
I got on.
floor.
I
Barry, Janine
was
has the
trying
floor, and then you
Barry,
speak.
no, I don't want the floor. I was trying to explain
Barry,
No, I
about
want
it,
to hear it.
about
I'm still
Birmingham.
listening to
I've done
Janine.
it
I'm
many
still listening
times,
to
and
Janine.
you know what? Goodbye.
What? That's
Oh,
ridiculous. There's so many worse things to worry about in this world. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
that's right.
honestly, I was talking, and I don't need to be talked over until I finish what I'm trying to say. I was responding to
Right.
Allison. So, okay, let me just say, because it has to do with the booth chat.
okay.
So this Donna Potts, very nice, says, I
Yep.
will be happy to give you feedback. So she wrote and she said, I would work on your booth shot. It is really busy. I find that artists that don't have so much work displayed seem to be juried into show over busy booths. Now the next sentence is, you can display at show. I don't know what that means, but I totally understand now that the reason I didn't get in is because I had a busy booth.
No, no, stop. That may be part of the reason, but part of it is also how many photographers and how many spots. So
Mhm.
good people don't get into shows. There's that. But um, the other thing is I haven't seen your booth, but you might actually sell more with less. If you keep hearing the same thing again and again
Yeah,
about a busy booth,
yeah.
then your booth probably is busy.
Oh, for sure it is.
So
For sure it is.
yeah,
For sure. For sure. And
but
I mean, I 100% agree with that and admit and I'm grateful for the advice. And like I just said, going into this whole new season, it's completely going to be different, totally different. So there's not going to be as much work hanging on the wall because I think you're right. I think it confuses people. People don't know what to look at. They're confused. You know, it's too much to look at. It's too much to look at. But when I hear that this is the reason, because I'm asking feedback, what did the juries say? And her only response to me is about the booth. And then this other comment of you would get into or you would display at the show or something like that. I forget what it was. I forget what it was. You can display at show. I don't know what.
well, she was probably answering a lot of emails from people since she offered that. I've never seen them offer that before. Um, but that's very nice. And so maybe that's the one thing that stood out. But again, how many people apply and there's only so many spots. So there is that. And I wouldn't worry about reading into the other part because it is a little confusing, but um, I often, you could have, they have 800 people for however many spots. And um, let's just say they liked your work and someone else's. And the booth shot would maybe be the tiebreaker. Would other people agree with that?
I would say so. I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
So,
But I
Maybe.
mean, I guess I said what I said earlier about the St. Louis mock jury because they spent literally nanoseconds on my art and all the other amount of time, like disproportionately all the time on the booth shot.
right.
So it gives me just participating in it for the first time. What am I to take from that? How am I to interpret that? What kind of
Mhm.
information am I to glean from that? And so it frustrated me, not only for that reason, but also because of what they had said about the other images. So,
It's gonna
Well,
sharpen your resolve, Janine.
I was wondering
You
if,
know,
Janine, I was wondering if she meant maybe make your booth less crowded, but you could show more at the show. Like put more things back in the booth when you were,
good point, Carol.
that's how
Yeah.
I kind of took it.
okay, that makes
I
sense.
don't know that that's what she meant, but that's kind of what
Yeah,
I heard.
that makes sense. That makes sense. That
but
makes
less is often more anyway because people
True.
can get overwhelmed.
I
Yeah,
agree with that.
So,
yeah. Well,
but it's really this thing of ours, it's a silly business model, right? We can't count on it. We can't count on getting in. And and we see things that get in that, we know where they're not making their work or, and so um
and I
it's
yeah. And I was reading like on one of Larry's Facebook groups. I forget which one, or maybe the lounge one. And I was reading like until 3 a.m. the other night, all these comments about how people get in and who gets in and what the concept of a blind jury is.
That's
And
Mark Grosser's group.
oh, who is it?
Mark Grosser.
Okay, well, whatever that one was, I
Yeah.
belonged to it, and people had there were differing opinions expressed, but one theme was that it's really not a blind jury. People know who you are. That there's some kind of women's committee that whatever the jury says, this was what was expressed in these posts on Facebook. Um, like they'll pick their favorites and they know who they are. And the minute they see like one slide of your work, they know who you are, or they just know your name or whatever. I don't know. But they were basically saying there's a lot of reasons blind, and that was frustrating to people.
it depends upon the show. I think some like St. Louis Art Fair is extremely transparent about their jury. Not all shows are so transparent. So it depends upon the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I forget I wish I could remember all of the arguments. There were many. I'm failing to remember them, but there were a lot
I
of,
finally unsubscribed to that particular channel because I didn't like his point of view. He likes to be the one person who knows everything.
oh,
Well, he
okay.
does.
You know, and huh?
What's his name again? What's his name?
Mark Grosser.
Okay.
He's
Anyway,
a he's
I
a
just
high-end
don't need
jeweler.
I just don't need angry people in my life, so I stopped following that. Yeah, this is a hard
I was
business,
never on it.
and you'll be stronger for the journey.
Yeah, but I still don't know like what decision to make like
Well,
today.
you'll find it in here about what's important for you, what your image are about. Is your intention needs to show in the image
No,
of
I mean, but I have to decide between Philly and
Well,
Loudmire and
if you've
Birmingham.
already
Listen
been
to Larry.
accepted into what?
What's that?
What have you
Philly.
been accepted to?
Yeah, but I'm waitlisted for the Loudmire.
Well, I agree with Karen. Check what the
The refund policy.
refund policy
Okay.
is. Go ahead and hold
Mhm.
your space if you think it's worth doing.
because then
But
it's a
it seems
business
everyone
decision of where your money is.
right. And
Yeah,
then at least you've got that one in case the other two don't come through.
I,
But given what everyone else has said, it sounds like that should be your third place,
Right,
not your first. But
right.
I
Yeah.
checked the refund policy and maybe that
Okay.
can help you make a decision.
yeah,
Okay.
Guys,
personally, I would, like I said, Center City, Philly would be last on my list.
And Larry, is that because of the nature, the quality of the show, or all of the
I
other?
don't know what the quality of the show is, but I know it's not the same as the fine arts show that's there. And
Okay.
that's a really good show, but they don't allow
Well,
photography.
Right.
well, I
you mean the
know.
fall one, Larry?
What?
You mean the one in the fall? Which one do you mean is?
Well, no, both of them.
Oh,
There's
okay.
the Rittenhouse Square show, and then there's what was the Pennsylvania Guild shows. They had two shows also.
Got it. Got it.
Well, I know some people who have done the one that has crafts, and it never seemed like it was worth me traveling all the way from Santa Fe to go there because I'd love to do a show in Philly. Um, but uh, I would go on the website and see what the photography looks like, and then look in other mediums and see if there's anyone there that you're comfortable emailing,
Oh,
uh,
oh,
about the show.
oh, like another artist, you would just do that, like cold call them?
Or
Yeah,
ask them
yeah.
to be a mentor or something. Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
tried like art fair reviews on Facebook just to put the name in and see what comes up from other people and see if any of them are photographers?
Oh,
But I've done this with shows. I email and I say, um, you know, very cordial. A lot of times people will write things now saying, "How's this show?" I mean, obviously be cordial, tell them who you are, you're new at this, and would it be worth going from Cleveland to this show, or any information they could share, and you'll see if you get someone I find that most people are fairly generous. I
Mhm.
mean, I've emailed people and they'd say, "Call me right now," and that's happened quite a few times. So they've done it, so and that, yes, there's art fair review. There might be people on that, and it's the non-plural one. There might be people there who've because either way, like, it seems like in any direction, really don't have to drive too far.
Yeah, that's what I haven't applied to any shows
Mhm.
outside of, see, I'm in Cleveland, so, what's that? What? It's just Michigan, Kentucky, the St. James, St. Louis, um, and Pennsylvania. So
Mhm.
not going beyond that little region, that,
Yeah.
that central region for me to be able to drive. I mean, my husband is supportive of me for looking for better shows instead of just like Northeast Ohio. So he's supportive of me for that this year. And we're going to see how it goes. But I told him, I pledged to him, I'm not going, to the West Coast or Florida or anything like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Also, but I mean, to me, that hotel, I wouldn't pay $174 a night for a hotel. I always try to keep my expenses down while being comfortable. And like I travel with this plug-in cooler called a Cooltron, and so a lot of times I have my own food with me.
Oh yeah.
May go to dinner or something, but that also cuts costs. But if
No, I
it,
always carry my own food. Absolutely. Yeah.
but you know, if you do Philly, you let's say you stayed in an Airbnb, you'd have to find out what the situation every day would be regarding parking. That would be one of the like some shows the parking's easier, and so it's not a big deal if you stay 15 minutes away. It could be cheaper, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Can I
really
interrupt for just
looking,
a second?
if
I
you're
just got a
looking,
quick question because I got to run, guys.
go.
And I'll listen to the rest of the recording because it's been really helpful, Janine, your questions. Um, Anybody familiar with Art in the Loop in Memphis?
No,
Okay, just one I had
but
gotten accepted to, but have seen kind of
I'm out of
medium.
it for years.
What? You what?
I,
Look,
I've been out of art shows for years.
Well, that's true. Okay. I mean, I
look
looked
on
at
Art Fair Review, the
I did that.
non-plural,
I
yeah,
did that.
and ask because I know there's a show that I remember last year people were talking about in Memphis, but I couldn't know if it's the same show or not.
Riverfest.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Riverfest probably. This
I,
one is got
Okay.
this one's in an affluent area, but the review's been kind of like, yeah, not very many people, but the people who are there do buy. So
Mhm.
I've never done it, got accepted, just trying to decide if it's worth the drive. So
where are
anyway,
you
Right.
located?
Memphis, who me?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Greensboro. No, I'm in
Oh, okay.
Greensboro. So
And again, look at the website of the show, see who did it last year, and see if you could email somebody,
yep, I like that
you
idea,
know.
Allison. Thank you.
Yeah, just be cordial.
Yes. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good rest of the
All
day.
right. And I was going to say, if you're really looking at Philly, don't apply to Manioc.
I didn't. What's Manioc? I didn't. What's Manioc?
That's a really affluent area north of Philadelphia. But the show is a terrible show.
Okay.
Then they mix the sponsors in and they're hawking their products in between the artist booths.
I know that. Like Anderson renewal by Anderson Windows and
Right.
yeah.
All kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to have friends that lived in Manayunk, and back then it wasn't an affluent area. It was kind of a cool, groovy uh area. So obviously things have changed.
I don't know. Maybe it's still just cool, not financially.
No, this was like in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, long time
Well,
ago.
that's when I did the show.
Oh,
That's the only show I hung my basketball pictures
ah,
because Dr. J played for Philadelphia.
okay.
Because you used to shoot all those, right?
Yeah.
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 A nice, by the way, nice background shot you there have there, Larry.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I love it.
So Janine, you're new to this, but did you do shows last year?
Oh no, I'm not new. I'm 10 years in, but I've always just
Oh,
stayed close to home. I've always just
oh, I see.
yeah, I've been doing them, but uh literally I mean I just started Michigan just to do Ann Arbor 2 years ago. That was the first time I
Mhm.
drove out of the state of Ohio.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
yeah.
Janine, so my wife is the artist, and I pretty much do everything else for her. And we're in Charleston, South Carolina. So, I mean, we've been up to outside of Chicago, did Arlington, Virginia a couple of times. So we're spreading out. So we do some travel if we can. We've done the St. James Court show, and this was our her third year, and it was a really good show for her. So
I
I know
gotta yeah, go ahead.
it's a you know it's travel on the road for us, and I do the driving, and but it's a labor of love.
Yeah, it's really funny. My husband, when he first, we just met 5 years ago, and when he met me, he's like, "Oh my God, you're a carny," and I said, "Yeah, I know, I'm a carny," But he said so he calls, okay, my maiden name is Janine Hobby, and I kept that for my business. And so he calls me Janine Hobby Photography, JHP, and I'm president and CEO, and he's director of operations and media. He's got like all these names for himself. And then like they give you sometimes a badge, like an artist badge for your assistant, if you have assistant, and so that he has a couple with his name on it. So if ever he's doing anything for me that is quote unquote business oriented, he puts his badge on. Okay. He puts his badge
You
on.
should make him a t-shirt. You should
Yeah.
make him a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, so he actually has a lot of fun with it, coming up with new, but I'm vice president of management or something. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I'm president of logistics.
yes,
I'm vice president of housing.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
event planner,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Those
mean,
have been two of my things. Define logistics, define consulting, define solutions, director of solutions. What the heck is a solution? These things.
Oh,
yeah,
and there's got to be
trouble.
a title for procuring meals, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Coffee
Restaurant.
fetcher, right?
Yeah, caffeinator.
Caffeinator. There you go.
Caffeinator. There you go.
Head caffeinator.
I'm the caffeinator. Yeah, and
For years, I used to feel pretty good and think that I was doing shows by myself and managing and doing all this. But the truth is, in the background, you have the support of friends and family, whether it's a phone call saying, "Can you tell me if this highway is really closed?" and checking with someone at home who's at the computer who can check on those things. But it really is, there is a support system with friends and family, and you can include your fellow artist friends too.
For sure, for
So we
sure.
kind of have to work, we have to work together as I'll call it a tribe, because we are all out there trying to manage all these variables of doing shows.
No, I have some friends who are unique to the art fair circuit, friends I've cultivated over the years, and I consider them good friends. I would gladly and in a heartbeat like have dinner with them and go, but I think, everybody kind of stays within their lane to a certain extent, or I don't know. I don't want to interrupt their lives, but I really have some people on the art fair circuit who I love, admire,
Yeah,
respect.
well, the young woman who accidentally dropped part of the booth on my head, um, many years later, I was at a show and my mirror broke, just absolutely flew off and broke. And I picked up the phone and called her because she was there in town. And she just went to great lengths to bring me another mirror. And it's just like we had this bond.
Okay, I've got another story very similar to that. So I was at Boston Mills, the Boston Mills Art Fair in Cuyahoga Valley National Park here in Ohio, and it was my first year doing it. And I had only had my trim line tent, I think 1 year, I think just like 1.5 years. And when I went to set up, I must have dropped one of my poles, somewhere along the way or my last show because like a little bit of it was dented and I couldn't put the poles together. I mean, I literally couldn't put my stay bars together or something. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, lo and behold, the guy next to me, and I've never seen him again except for that one show, that one time, he was somebody who does like forging, like makes the horseshoes, with iron. I forget the name of that. Metalsmith.
Metalsmithing,
yeah.
I mean,
Blacksmith.
he what was that? Someone else?
Blacksmithing.
A blacksmith. Yes, that's what he was. He was a
Mhm.
blacksmith. And I've never seen anyone like his work and like him before, but he was right next to me. He's like, give me the pole. He had all his stuff there. He
Yeah.
figured it in, like seconds. I was like, oh my God, you saved my life. I probably couldn't even have done this show because I have mesh panels that you have to hook onto the stay bars, you know, and like you're right. People, it can be a really good community. And I
I,
when I was doing this myself until my husband came along, it was really hard.
It was,
But
it is hard.
it
Yeah.
was, and I just had
Uh,
a car. I didn't, have a van or anything.
I
When
So
you're at
admire.
the
Janine, as I have worn out my family, um, I have discovered a agency called People Ready, and it works across the country in major cities, and it's a temp agency, and I hire people for 4 hours to unload, set up, and do the heavy lifting.
Oh, wow.
So I'm 73 and I have 3 artificial joints, and it took me 30 years to get smart about hiring someone to help with the setup and tear down.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for the tip. That's fantastic.
It's called People Ready. You just
Yeah, I
sign
just wrote
up.
it down. Yeah.
You're out of Seattle, Washington. You get an account that is nationwide and you can pay online. They have an app, so you can
Wow.
get a temp employee to come.
That's great. That's
It
great.
works, I think, about in 95% of the time.
so
Well, there's a lot of fellow artists who, I mean, they jump in and they help one another. They helped us. I mean, it was just, I mean, when we started 4 years ago, our very first show 4 years ago was Naples New Year's show, and we didn't know anything. We bought a trim line. We bought a used trim line. We bought used pro panels, and it was no. We had the trim line, but mesh panels, and it looked. Man, we were a ragtag back then, and we had other artists come by and go, "Can I make a suggestion?" And it was like, "Yes, please," you
Mhm.
know.
Well,
And
that's that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
and so they said, well, you need to do this, you need to do this. Your art doesn't look cohesive. You gotta find. Marianne has a voice, but we didn't actually get to blend it together and put it together in a tent. But yeah, it was just that first year was rough. But we did a lot of shows where there were just zero shows, and we didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
We know nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's how I met Larry, actually. It was either the first or second year I was doing shows. It was either 2013, 2012 or 2013. And I was in Kane Park. It was a show in Cleveland Heights. It was a good show. I still do it. And Larry was at the show and with his photographs of flowers. And, I had seen his work. I didn't know him, but well, actually, I had been on Art Fair Insiders and I heard his name. But he just walked over into my booth, just walked right in. I didn't know him from Adam. And he starts telling me, you're competing with yourself. Put prices on all your works. Don't have some price list on your little table there. Get rid of that. Put price tags on all your pieces individually. Don't have your sizes be so close to each other. You're competing with yourself. He's telling me all this stuff unsolicited, like and rapid fire. I'm like, okay, okay, thank you. And I mean, it was invaluable advice. I didn't know him. He just walked in and just like gave me all that information. So,
but I mean, that's the thing. Some people get offended and some listen. I mean, early on, I was at a show across from this jeweler whose work is in museums in the US and Japan. And anyway, her sister said to me, all of your posters are crooked. And she didn't say it meanly or anything. It was just matter of fact. And I looked and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, so um, it's important to be open to those things because it's true. People just tell you what they think. Artists are very opinionated, and I think most people are pretty nice about it, I hope. Um, so, you know,
The
we we
issue
we
is
listen.
we're too close to our own work.
Mhm.
That's very true.
Yeah. Right. Well, originally, Eric, my husband, was photographing my work on rusted steel, which we thought looked cool. But I was in an exhibition, and the juror, uh, she was part of the community also, and she talked to us about how you have to have a clean background. And this was very early on. So, it's just that matter of being open to constructive criticism.
Yeah.
I think though, no matter how long we're in business though, because I think sometimes things like your display could look tired, or you know what I mean? I mean, Karen, I know you're refurbishing all the time. I'm refurbishing like you don't want like broken mirrors or chipped things or
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I, I don't have an ego that's easily bruised. Honest to God, you can tell me anything you want. I'm not going to care. I'm not going to take offense. I've had enough bad things happen in my life that that's the least of my worries. So I always welcome advice and suggestions and, you know, always.
It's interesting when we did Port Clinton 2 years ago, and we had upgraded our we bought some used pro panels, and they were kind of a dark gray, and there was a woman across from us who had like a double booth in the street, and her panels were all black. And we looked at her work, and up against that black pro panel, her work just popped. And so I grabbed one of Marianne's paintings, and it was a big one. And I said, honey, look at this. And that's when we knew, okay, black pro panels, we had to do that. So we went with a taller tent. We went with 8-foot pro panels, and we had lights. That was the other thing that one of the artists suggested, that because we had an older trim line, it wasn't, it didn't have the clear center. It was just, some of them have that frosted middle. This one didn't have the frosted middle, and the tent just looked dark. And one of the artists came by, and who had lights, and I looked at his lights, and I was writing stuff down. I did research for like 2 weeks, and we finally went ahead and bought lights. I bought track lighting, and it just, I figured out how to get them high with some PVC piping, but it was a blessing, and like you said, some people, they take that criticism, and it's like, you've just offended me. And I'm like, these people were lifesavers to us, because we were able to really just hone in and improve and improve and improve and improve. Last time we did a show, one of the directors came up to us and said, you don't sell any prints. And I said, no, we don't. Well, Marianne did, that is. Marianne said, no, we don't sell prints because nobody ever buys any. And so that person, she suggested, well, a lot of artists will do enhanced sheet clays. And it was like, what the heck is that? And then she told us, you take a canvas print, and you paint on it, and you number it, and you sign it, and you make it as one of your limited editions. And so we did that, and which was last year, we did that for the first time. And I mean, those prints, Marianne's original is, $4,800, but the limited edition print, is $2,900, and people will go, okay, we'll take that. And that was one of the biggest things that we never really realized. But I mean, that was paying our booth fees and our expenses. And then, I mean, that was a light bulb that came off. But that was again, that was really something that we had no idea, but something, again, we learned, and we're getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
I listened to a podcast, and they said, it was a marketing podcast for artists, and they said, it takes 3 to 5 years to get traction. And everybody was talking about social media earlier, but I'm the social media and tech guru for her, and I work full time, so I don't get to post everything like I would like to. But when we get into a show, I'll do a live stream on Instagram, and I have to force Marianne to say, okay, hey, this is Marianne. I'm here. Hope you get a chance to come by. This is our booth, and we'll be here for the next 2 days. And I'll shoot that out. So I got to tell you, it's always a learning curve. There's always something new to learn.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for talking and sharing, and appreciate it.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I will. I will. It's my first time kind of branching out, and that's why I did submit to the mock jury, just to see what that was like, just to see from the inside, and like go outside of my comfort zone. So it's really good to hear from people who have experience with some of these shows that I do not. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
All right, good
Absolutely.
luck.
I don't get into everything I apply to. And it's
We
just
sure
like,
don't.
I have this bucket list. We're going to get there. And I keep trying.
Well, it sounds like they switch things up too. Like I don't know. That's what I was like. You might get into a show like regularly, and then all of a sudden 1 year you don't get in.
Well, that's
Yes,
right. And you have to
like
plan for
me.
that.
So yeah, I mean, this year is a big rejection year, and I know I've had a good run, so I'm lucky. And sometimes not getting in is not so bad because your customers might miss you, or you could email them and make sales that way too. So it's just sort of, I don't know what the universe deals you. So there has to be a lot of things in motion.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't know. You can't mind read. No one
Right.
can mind read. So you
Mhm.
really have no idea. It's only speculation.
Which is why the mailing list is so important.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely.
Well, I think the snow is trying to quit here on the Oregon coast. So maybe I'll get out today, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'll stay home and just.
Oh,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
wow. That I thought that was like a screen that you had.
I do.
Yeah, I did too.
That was this morning.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
see, we don't get snow like this here. So every the world
And
just stops.
yes. And it's 60 degrees here where we normally have snow. So
Hmm. Yeah, we'll be fine.
yeah.
All right. Stay in touch. Good to see you,
Okay.
Allison. You too,
Goodbye.
Larry.
You
Everybody
too.
have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Larry.
Thank
All right,
you.
all right, bye.